2025 will be regarded as the most important year in Tesla's history, says Elon Musk, because when people look back on 2025 and the launch of unsupervised FSD, they may regard it as the biggest year in Tesla's history. And it's not just empty words. This is a video released by Tesla from 2 days ago showing Teslas just driving autonomously without anyone inside of them. These are at Tesla's factories, of course, but these are fully autonomous. So not only will Tesla no longer need to hire drivers to do that, but actually we are getting closer to solving autonomy. So this is quite a moment in Tesla's history. These vehicles are going to their designated spots autonomously without any human intervention. And I personally believe when FSD licensing starts to happen, Tesla stock is going to rally. And Elon did comment on this. We are seeing significant interest from other car companies. We are only going to entertain situations where volume will be very high. So when eventually, inevitably, Tesla actually makes an FSD deal to license it to other automakers, that makes it an even bigger deal because they are saying they are only going to do large volume. They are not going to entertain small volume deals. This morning, Tesla stock is actually trading higher, and I believe one of the big reasons for that is because investors are really excited about Tesla actually being on track to launch its new, more affordable models. Tesla specifically says that plans for new vehicles, including more affordable models, and by the way, when we say new vehicles, they are also saying including more affordable models, which means there will be other models which will not be more affordable. Like, that's what you could take away from that. Remain on track for start of production in the first half of 2025. These vehicles will utilize aspects of a next generation platform as well as aspects of our current platforms and will be produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. So even though, looking here at this chart, you can see that profit margin is actually at its lowest point in recent years. Despite all of that, a lot of investors think that if guidance is to be trusted, it could turn things around quite dramatically and fast, sort of what happened back in 2020 when Tesla launched the Model Y. For example, investors are thinking that because this will be launched on existing manufacturing lines, it can actually be a positive thing for Tesla's gross margins. So even though you're making a cheaper vehicle, that can still increase your overall gross margin just because you're producing it on existing manufacturing lines and the car overall is cheaper. But there is some room for some good profit margin, possibly, maybe, for example, up to 20%. And so that's why even though Tesla missed earnings expectations by a little bit, the market is actually not reacting negatively, it's reacting positively. Although the stock being up could also have something to do with Elon saying things like, there's a path for Tesla being the most valuable company in the world by far. Tesla could be worth more than the next 5 companies combined. And then right now investments are made which will bear fruit in the future. And Elon made a very strong point about 2026 being epic and 2027 and 2028 being just ridiculous. He said it more than once. For example, he also said things are really going to be ballistic next year and really ballistic in 2027 and 2028. And then Elon actually went into some specific numbers about the Optimus bot. Long-term, Optimus has the potential to be north of 10 trillion in revenue. It's really bananas, said Elon. And the Tesla team is sticking with their prediction that FSD and Supervised will actually be a paid service this year, and specifically in Austin and in June this year. And not only will it be unsupervised, there will be no one in the vehicle driving or being there just in case something goes wrong. That's what the Tesla team is saying. Also, this time, Elon was just upbeat. He was positive, he was happy, and he continued. I realize the Optimus revenue predictions sound insane, but I think they will prove to be accurate. On top of that, he thinks that Optimus will be scaled faster than anything else before. Elon even gave some more specific numbers. He said, our aspiration is an order of magnitude per year, but perhaps we don't achieve that, and maybe it's just a half of an order of magnitude per year, and 1 order of magnitude is 10 times more. So he's thinking is going to be half of that. The vehicle deliveries Tesla before grew 50% year over year, but this would be more like 500%. Elon also talked about Tesla's energy business, and he put emphasis on that business. And he also said that there is going to be the 3rd factory for Tesla's energy business. So now we have 2. The one in California, in Lathrop, and then obviously the Shanghai factory. Elon also mentioned that currently their business is battery constrained, and likely he's referring to internally made 4680 cells by Tesla. For those of you who watched every single video from my channel, this will not come as a surprise. Elon Musk says that the honest answer is that Tesla will have to upgrade hardware-free vehicles for those that have bought FSD. That's going to be very painful and difficult, he says, but we'll get it done. Now I'm kind of glad that not that many people bought the FSD package. So here's a direct quote from Elon Musk. There is some chance that hardware-free does not achieve the safety level that allows for unsupervised FSD. But actually, this quote is from October of last year. So if you were on the earnings call yesterday and you heard Elon Musk speak, then that did not come as a surprise to you because it really didn't deviate all that much from what he said before. You're not caught off guard. So here's exactly what happened yesterday on the earnings call. Tesla's head of FSD, Ashik Al-Swami, first responded that they are not giving up on basically making FSD safer than human driving on hardware 3. But then Musk corrected him by saying that the truth is that we will need to replace all hardware 3 computers in vehicles where FSD was purchased. And of course, the replacement will be done for free. No specifics really were provided, and I have a hardware 3 vehicle, so now I'm really curious when will the upgrade be done, because there is seemingly a significant gap between the performance of hardware 3 and hardware 4. But also upgrading from hardware 3 right now could be maybe a little bit problematic because maybe hardware 5 is going to be so much better and easier to solve FSD on that even though maybe hardware 4 is definitely possible to use to solve full self-driving and make it safer than human driving, maybe it's going to be so much easier to do it with hardware 5 at it will actually make sense to just upgrade all vehicles to hardware 5. And we also know that based on what Elon Musk said a few months earlier, we know that Cybercab is actually going to be on hardware 5. So there's maybe a bit of a dilemma going on here. When exactly will the upgrade be done? My guess is it makes the most sense for Tesla to actually do it when full self-driving is safer than human driving. But the problem with that now is he said that Tesla will need to do it. And so we purchased something that is not really up to the same performance standard as the newer hardware. So there's definitely going to be pressure for Elon Musk and Tesla to do the upgrade right now. If Elon Musk did not say that yesterday, there would be no official pressure, not yet. But now you sort of have to give a timeline or something. We also know from the Tesla team that they are working on launching FSD supervised in Europe and in China in 2025. So it wasn't specified exactly when they think that will be launched in Europe or in China exactly this year, but they are saying it will be launched this year. On the earnings call, Elon Musk basically is saying that Tesla is going to dip their toes first and then they're gonna dip their knees and their whole body eventually in the ocean of full self-driving. So they're just trying to see what the issues are going to be in a smaller market first. So Austin first, and then California probably second, and then a few other markets after that, and then after that many more markets, and then after that more markets, and then after that more markets. So it will be slow at first and then it will get pretty quick after that, is basically what Elon Musk is saying. Tesla gave us an update about the Tesla Semi ramp. They said that the first truck builds are scheduled to start by end of 2025, with ramp beginning in early 2026, and preparation is underway for Cybercab lines at Gigafactory, Texas, with volume production planned for 2026. Tesla provided us with a picture of the Semi factory in Nevada. You can see that from outside it sort of looks done. Then Elon Musk talked about training compute and how when FSD is going to be solved, obviously you will have all of this training compute, and what do you do with it then? Well, Optimus is the answer. He thinks that the training compute needed for Optimus will be 10 times and possibly more than what the car needs. So none of the training compute that Tesla is building right now is going to just go to waste. No, it will all be used for the Tesla bot after Tesla is done with FSD. And this is from the earnings slide deck. Progress on Optimus hardware and software continued in Q4, including the latest generation hand, robot locomotion, and training on additional tasks ahead of planned pilot production in 2025. And on the earnings call, also Elon said that the goal internally is to make 10,000 bots this year but he doesn't really think that they will hit that. It'll be a lower number, but the aim is 10,000, but it's not really expected. But when it comes to delivering the bot to other companies, Tesla should be able to do it in the second half of 2026. So next year is what Elon thinks. And in Q4, it's official that Tesla completed the deployment of Cortex, a 50,000 H100 training cluster Gigafactory, Texas, which helped enable V13 FSD supervised. Also in Q4, Tesla vehicles using autopilot technology drove 5.94 million miles between accidents, the best Q4 ever. This is, however, autopilot, not FSD. And here's Tesla displaying this in a chart. In red, you can see Tesla vehicles using autopilot technology and how many millions of miles are between each accident. And here in blue, you can see Tesla vehicles not using autopilot. And this is the US average. So this is clearly heading in the right direction relatively quickly. And yesterday I drove a friend's car, and that car is not a Tesla, so it had no FSD. And to me, it just felt so weird driving for 30 minutes without FSD. And I did feel that my safety was actually not as high. And for the first time now in a relatively long time, the drive was actually tiring and a bit exhausting because I did not have FSD on. With FSD on, I feel like driving is actually pretty pleasant, even through rush hour traffic, even through difficult driving conditions when normally you would be stressing out. With FSD, it just takes it away. It's not something that you may look forward to doing, but it's at least not actually that stressful. If I go on longer drives, as long as I can use FSD, I never dread these drives. I never thinking, oh no, I gotta drive for 45 minutes here through this rush hour traffic where people cut each other off constantly and it's just stressful. I just don't feel like that with FSD. Also, we got some good news here. Tesla said that in Q4, costs of goods sold per vehicle reached its lowest level ever at $35,000 or under $35,000, driven largely by raw material cost improvement, helping us to partially offset our investment in compelling financing and lease options. Last October, Tesla expected spending to be between 8 and 10 billion in 2026, but now Tesla says that capital expenditure should exceed 11 billion this year and in each of the following 2 fiscal years. So we went from, let's say, 9 billion to now over 11 billion coming up. So Tesla is definitely serious about its capital expenditures, and Tesla is not playing defensively there. It's very aggressive. Now, then this video came out showing that these Teslas are driving without anyone inside of them. It created a debate. Gary says that Uber both saw this very creative FSD at birth video last night and predicted Tesla stock would be up a lot the next day, but it didn't quite happen like that. And Gary continues, I didn't follow that logic as it doesn't prove that Tesla will be the only one that masters unsupervised autonomy. As I have said for some time, unsupervised autonomy will become table stakes for all auto manufacturers. They either have to achieve it or perish, and many will perish, I believe, and the ones that will not, they will license FSD from Tesla. Now, you might think that these Teslas driving to their loading docks, that it's not really that impressive because maybe it's just a few seconds of driving, and so what's the big deal? But actually, it's 1.2 miles of driving to their loading docks. And this video, which is sped up in some parts by 3 times, and I already also sped it up by 2 times. So when you see 3x speed, it means really 6x speed. But this video is already 2 minutes long. So this is not trivial. This is actually quite impressive. No HD maps as far as we are aware. And yet these vehicles are handling all of this driving. Now, of course, the stressful part here is if anything happens to any of these cars, Tesla is fully responsible for these cars crashing, and that would eat into Tesla's margin. But Tesla has now been doing this for a little bit, and we haven't seen or heard of any vehicles crash, so that's very good. Alexander Potter from Piper Sandler just reiterated his $500 price target for Tesla after earnings. He says, it appears Tesla spent heavily on clearing outdated Model Y units from inventory, which negatively impacted pricing, but arguably, none of this matters for the thesis. Perhaps, somewhat surprisingly, Tesla isn't backing down from a commitment to launch new products, plural, across multiple factories in the first half of this year, and management still expects delivery growth this year. And then about autonomy, full self-driving software has never been so unabashedly bullish. Given all this, we are not surprised the stock is trading up after the earnings report. And there are some bullish comments from Jim Cramer about Tesla. He says that Adam Jonas calls Tesla after the quarter where Tesla missed numbers an AI ETF, and people want to buy AI overall generally. So they buy the stock no matter what, especially if it's down the next day. And then Jim Cramer says, I want you to own Tesla. Just own it. Wow. Well, this is a bit annoying, but a bill has been introduced in the state of Washington that would force Tesla to close numerous sales centers across the state and could impact in-state service offerings. As a result, Washington residents could need to travel out of state to complete their new Tesla EV purchase. There could also be impacts to Tesla's warranty and other service activities in Washington. So if you live in Washington state, contact your state representatives to let them know you oppose the Senate Bill 5377. I reported on this earlier, but now it's actually fully finished. The Cyber Tunnel is now open, which is a fast and safe way to transport Cybertruck production to the outbound lot. And Elon Musk just made a big move with X. X has now officially introduced X Money in partnership with Visa. You will be able to fund your X wallet via Visa Direct, which connects to your debit card, allowing peer-to-peer payments, and you'll have an option to instantly transfer funds to your bank account. The CEO of X says this is the first of many big announcements about X Money this year. Oh, and look at this. Volkswagen's delayed ID7 EV has been canceled for North America. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of this later. Oh, and you will definitely want to pay attention here because this is a big threat to Tesla, right? Waymo is sending autonomous vehicles to 10 new cities in 2025, starting with Las Vegas and San Diego. The company shared exclusively with The Verge. And the vehicles will be manually driven, and the testing operations are not necessarily a precursor to the launch of a commercial robotaxi service. Yeah, we Tesla stock investors should be really worried right now because Waymo is expanding to 10 new cities, and it's autonomous cars will just take everything over, and from here on, Tesla is going to be dead because Waymo is just going to crush Tesla. Now, the purpose of these let's call them road trips, is this is an opportunity for them to see how well its self-driving system adapts to new locales with varying weather conditions and regional driving habits. And so Farzad made a recommendation, and I agree with his recommendation. I recommend it 10 times stronger now, he says. I recommend staying away from Uber. And he's been very consistent about this, just like I have been. They will be heavily disrupted by Tesla's ability to scale self-driving cars at multi-million units per year and offering them on their proprietary app platform. Uber, on the other hand, manages human supply and demand of transportation. When the human is removed, Uber is not worth anything. And here's some pretty big news. Elon Musk has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 2025 for protecting free speech. And Bill Gates actually just talked a little bit about Elon Musk, and this is getting a little bit political. So if you're ready for a pinch of politics, buckle up and let's see what's going on here. Bill Gates said, "You want to promote the right wing, but say Nigel Farage is not right wing enough? This is insane, quote, shite." Gates continues, "It's difficult to understand why someone who has a car factory both in China and in Germany, whose rocket business is ultra dependent on relationships with sovereign nations, and who is busy cutting $2 trillion in the US government expenses and running 5 companies, is obsessing about this grooming story in the UK. I'm like, what? Maybe it's because Elon Musk actually cares about doing the right thing. I wonder if that ever crossed the mind of Bill Gates. And maybe it could also be because Elon Musk sometimes just says he's just talking. He just says what's on his mind. He just posted True, quoting this post, where he said, "I am just talking, look at me. Wow, amazing. Can you believe it? I can talk without a teleprompter. That's crazy." At that time, this was meant to be basically a critique against the team that was running against Trump. And Elon Musk is making a big difference in the government. Look at this. Farzad is even saying, America's federal government is officially adopting the Musk culture. Someone pinch me, I must be dreaming. This cannot be real life. This is the full bio memo sent to all federal employees titled A Fork in the Road. The pillars of the new federal government are clearly laid out. And if federal employees wish to resign, they simply put resign in the subject line of the email they received. The standards definitely got quite a bit higher. For example, people actually have to be fully physically present. The memo says, even if you decide to stay, there's no guarantee you will have your job in the future. And if you want to resign, you have between January 28th and February 6th, and you will be paid through September 30th. Things are changing, and I like this. And Elon definitely will be happy about this. Trump signed an order to ban transgender procedures for minors. And Elon possibly agrees with Steve and Mark Ryan saying all of this. And this is the official statement from the president. And maybe I should get involved in this too. White House invites podcasters and social media influencers to apply for press passes and signal that media landscape is changing. And now back to some Tesla stock news. For the longest time, Craig Irvin insisted that Tesla doesn't have anything that Toyota doesn't already have. And yet now, not only is he saying that you should buy Tesla stock because his price target is above where Tesla stock is trading, but he's actually extremely bullish on autonomy. So what you will see is analysts changing their mind about Tesla. And before, Tesla was compared to all other automakers, but where we're headed is Tesla being compared to all of the big tech firms. And according to Elon, maybe there's even a path. An actual path, a real possibility, he thinks, that Tesla could be worth more than the 5 next biggest companies combined. And this rhetoric is new. We haven't really quite heard these precise words from Elon before. I mean, before he mentioned Tesla being the biggest company and being bigger than Saudi Aramco, for example, but not the next 5 biggest companies combined. So that's quite a bit. And the way he talks, I really think he actually believes that. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to happen, but I'm certain he actually believes that's a real possibility, and not just a distant possibility, but there is a path towards it that he thinks is actually possible to happen. Not in a very extreme case, but there's a decent chance of that happening, I think he believes. And now, those of you who have an X account, I will ask for a little bit of help from you. When I try to log into my personal X account, I get this error message. I'm not able to log into my X account. And while over here, it doesn't say that the account is actually suspended. If you search for my account, it says that it is suspended. And this has been ongoing since late Tuesday evening. I already tried reporting this to X support. I haven't heard anything back from them. And there's no explanation at all about what's happening other than it says here we blocked an attempt to access your account because we weren't sure it was really you. This happens when we notice unusual login activity like an attempt to log in too many times or from a different location or device. Just now, I did switch to another phone and I have been using multiple different devices to access my X account, and maybe that has something to do with that. I also tried resetting my password and I'm still not able to actually get into my account. If I do not bring any attention to this, I don't know how long the suspension could last, or maybe I would never get access to my account back. So if you have an X account, I would really appreciate if you could message support. So just send a direct message to this profile, or just making a public post tagging @support or @X. That should help as well. Everyone who will do this for me, thank you so much, and hopefully I'm able to get access to my account again. That's going to be it for this video. I believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share. And then after that, well beyond that. My name is Matt Postius. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I will see you in the next video, maybe on Monday, depending on how the outcome goes with me regaining access to my X account.